Welcome to From Beneath the Hollywood Sign. If you love old movies, Hollywood history, or the golden age of filmmaking, this is the podcast for you. Hosted by writer-producer Steve Cubine and actress-writer Nan McNamara. And now, Steve and Nan.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to yet another preview of our next episode of the podcast From Beneath the Hollywood Sign. Steve, there is a quote on your blog from W.C. Fields, and I think it's a perfect segue into what our topic is about this week.
Yes.
He famously said, "Never work with children or animals."
and ain't that the truth? I mean, who's going to upstage you more than, this cute little cherub-faced kid or some, furry dog or cat? Come on.
It's so true. So true. In fact, a little side note, I did a holiday show a few years back, and our dog Sally was part of the cast.
Oh no!
And that was, yes, it was partly because we couldn't leave her alone at night when we were at rehearsals because Lindsay was in it as well, my husband Lindsay, and so Sally was a part of the show. Everything worked out fine until we had an audience. Then it was trouble. She would bark. She would kind of look around. She just wasn't quite sure what the heck was happening. So we did. I was the director of the show. I fired her, and then I rehired her for the last performance because people were asking about her.
That's hilarious. Well, my experience with kids, and this is what an idiot I am. The very first short film I ever wrote, produced, and directed. What do they tell you? Never work with children. It was called Tiny Tot Review, and it was all about a kitty beauty pageant.
No. Oh, gosh.
25 kids and me, a very green director, producer who knew nothing. That's all I'm going to say.
Can we find this anywhere? Is it anywhere to be seen?
I believe it's in my closet with dust on it, and that's probably where it should
where it's going to stay. Well, your blog really opened up this world for me. I knew many of the folks that most of us, I think, know about, but there are so many child actors that had amazing careers, and we're going to get into some of the more obscure ones when we hit the podcast.
Yes.
But let me throw up some that we don't get a chance to talk about, because with your wealth of knowledge, I would just love to hear your thoughts on these different stars.
Oh,
okay. So here's the first one. I think everybody knows this person.
Oh, Margaret O'Brien. I mean, one of the best child actors who ever appeared on film. I mean, if you just watch Meet Me in St. Louis or Little Women, I mean, her performances were so authentic, and she had such a vulnerability and a likability. I mean, just the best. I love her. And, she's actually still with us. She's still alive and going strong. And I've met her a couple of times, and she's just a lovely, lovely lady. So that's a great one.
I love hearing that. Here's another photo of her. And this actually is with one of the people that we will be talking about in our episode.
Yes, and I believe that photo is from a really great movie. I think it's great, called Our Vines Have Tender Grapes, which also starred Edward G. Robinson and Agnes Moorehead as her parents, and her co-star there is an incredible little actor, not very well known, named Butch Jenkins, and we're going to talk about him on the podcast. But great movie. Everyone should really, really check that one out.
And he has got a face like, oh, you just want to eat him up. He's
the freckles, the little gap between his teeth, just eat him up.
A little mop of hair, Yes. Now, here's one of my favorite actresses of all time, but certainly when she was a young girl.
Oh, Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood. I know this is one of your favorites. So what are your thoughts on Natalie Wood?
She was amazing in Miracle on 34th Street. I also felt like she she played a character, and perhaps this was really her, wise beyond her years.
Yes.
And there was no precociousness about her, which I think is what can irritate people about child actors. And she, at least maybe I'm speaking just for myself, um, but she had none of that. She held her own with our beautiful Maureen O'Hara. And I feel like she's one of those actors with her untimely and tragic death. I would love to know if she were still alive what she would be doing, because she was smart and savvy and so
Yes.
talented and so beautiful.
She was. And the thing that strikes me about her as a child actor, she's one of the very few, and there weren't many, who made that transition into adulthood flawlessly. I mean, she never went through that gawky, awkward teen stage. She just transitioned from child roles into, Splendor in the Grass and This Property is Condemned, and just did it like
Rebel Without a
nobody else,
Cause, yes. Yeah.
which is
Yeah, she
no easy feat.
it's not. And she really found projects that were perfect for her at any given age.
Yes, I mean, incredible talent. Really a
Yeah.
tragedy. We lost her way too soon, and
Yeah,
she
we
died on my
really did.
birthday, which is always makes me sad.
Well, it's around this time of year. I believe
Yeah,
isn't it around, yeah, your birthday is November, so
yep.
we won't give that away, but all right, here's another very famous.
Ah, Roddy McDowell. What a great
Yeah.
what a great actor. And another one who made the transition to adulthood, relatively unscathed, but everybody remembers him from Lassie. I mean, he was just the perfect kid. And I love him so much because of the Poseidon Adventure when he's an
Oh,
adult.
me too. I was just gonna say that. I love him in the Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, Akers, the server who hurts his leg and he helps him get up to the Christmas tree to his next level. I loved him, but he was a really great child actor. And, he had a lot of talent, a lot of charisma, had an incredible career as a kid, and then transitioned to some really interesting adult roles later. So that's a good one.
Yeah, he's wonderful. Here's another one that is, again, such a wonderful young actor.
Oh, I love this kid, Freddie Bartholomew. He was actually a British kid. He was born in England, and he was in everything. I mean, he was just the go-to kid in the 1930s. I mean, he did David Copperfield in I think 1935. He did Little Lord Fauntleroy. He did. What I think of him most from though is Captain's Courageous with Spencer Tracy and
Yes.
Mickey Rooney. He's so good. He holds his own with those actors like you can't imagine a kid could do.
Yeah. Yeah. He's pretty amazing. And kind of that classic little, little urchin, sir.
Oh, he's
You just think
perfect.
of him like
He's just running
pick
through the
him up
streets
and
of London with coal on his face. Yeah. You know,
exactly.
an interesting
Oh,
thing about him, he ended up going to the army, I think, or the navy, one or the other. And when he got out of the service, his career was kind of faltering. So he switched gears and went into advertising, and he ended up being a pretty prolific producer of soap operas. He produced like As the World Turns, The Edge of Night, which is such an interesting place for this kid to end up.
that is a really interesting place. Did he use the same name?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. He had a long life, so that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Useless
Um,
fun fact.
yeah, yeah, useless fun fact for that
Yeah.
cocktail party. Our last one that we're going to talk about in this preview is, I'm not even going to say. Look at
Oh,
that face. Look at
oh
that
my
face.
God. Brandon DeWild. Oh, just one of the cutest kids ever. I mean, that face and that, oh, he just wore his heart on his sleeve. And, he got his start on Broadway when he was like 7, I think, in the great play, The Member of the Wedding, which,
Right.
was a phenomenal hit on Broadway. And then when they went to do the 1952 film version, they brought him in to, play the same role. And he ended up winning a Golden Globe. So talk about an auspicious beginning.
Well, and who can forget him in Shane,
Oh,
and his ability to just, as you said, yes, tear your heart out.
oh
I
my gosh,
mean,
he's so good in Shane. I mean, that one really breaks your heart, and it really
yeah,
shows what what a complicated actor he was, because that wasn't an easy role, and it could have been very
No.
cloying and sentimental and not effective. But he brought it 1000%.
And, in looking him up recently, he also had a career. I mean, he was nominated for an Academy Award for, I
Yes.
believe it was HUD with
HUD. He
Paul
played
Newman
Paul
and
Newman's little brother. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So,
another good movie, and I haven't thought of this movie in 100 years, and I hope I get the name right, but it was one of Warren Beatty's first films, and it was called All Fall Down. Did you ever see that? Um,
no, I don't think so.
it's this dysfunctional family that I think it was John Frankenheimer who directed it, and he plays Warren Beatty's little brother, but the parents are Carl Malden, the mother's Angela Lansbury.
Oh,
Evelyn
wow.
Paint's in it as this kind of floaty flower child type character. It's so good. It's just one of those first great movies from the early 60s about this really screwed up dysfunctional family.
Okay, I'm adding it to my list, which is ever growing.
You'll like it. And I remember Warren Beatty's character in the movie is his name is Barry Barry.
Okay.
I don't
Both with an A? How is it
I think
spelled?
with an E, like a berry. Barry Barry.
Berry Berry.
I call
Okay.
him Barry
Okay.
Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just back to Brandon DeWild for just a moment.
Mm,
He actually also had a tragic end in that he was still acting,
yeah.
but how did he die?
He did. He was so young when he died. He ended up doing theater after his film career sort of cooled down, and he was doing a play in Denver, Colorado. I forget what the play is, but he had a car accident at age 30 and died. So it's so tragic. It makes you wonder, what he would have matriculated into.
Yeah, what he would have gone on to
Yeah.
do for sure. Well, we're excited to share with you some other child actors that we haven't talked about here
Yes.
on our next episode, which drops on Sunday evening.
And make sure you check it out. We're going to talk about some kitties that are pretty obscure that I think you're going to love.
And you can find us wherever you listen to your podcast.